we should be live. Good morning, y'all. This is Ned over at My Philippine Dreams, coming at you from Dumaguete City, the city of gentle people, the city that never sleeps, where the men are men and the goats are nervous. Welcome to August 9th, 2017, our weekly live cast on life in the Philippines as it could possibly affect expats, foreigners living, working, studying, doing anything in the Philippines. Let me just make sure that the stream is actually live. It looks good. All right. This week's episode is brought to you by Magnolia Industries, proud provider of delectable cheese squeeze, a heady miasma of water, cheese products, and vegetable oil. Magnolia Cheese Squeeze is a safe and easy way to enjoy cheese spread. Boasting a resealable applicator tip and sheathed in an aluminum doy pack, Cheese Squeeze will not break and is safe for kids to handle. Cheese Squeeze. Bring it anywhere, anytime. All right, weather update. We had 3 weeks of rain, and that was kind of nice because it was nice and cool, but it did kind of dampen the spirits and kind of dampen everything. They call it rainy season. I call it mildew season. You go through a lot of Zonrox, and Zonrox will actually be next week's corporate sponsor. I think a lot of the coolness has to do with the insulation that I installed in the ceiling. Well, I didn't install it. A neighbor installed it. And the NEPA carport and all the shade trees that have grown around the house. I'm actually going to do a video or a blog article on the effect that it's had. When we first moved into Pink House here in Dumaguete, daytime temperatures would get up to 93 degrees Fahrenheit. And now it never gets above 85 degrees. And 8 degrees might not seem like much of a difference, but the difference between 85 degrees and 93 degrees inside a concrete and steel building is telling. Let me just check the live stream again. All right, looks like we're going. Cool. Oh, shoot. Can everybody hear me? Oh, live chat's not going. Oh no, we lost the live stream. All right, well, I'm going to continue on because it should be working, hopefully. Trivia question, last week's trivia question. I love reading and particularly enjoy science fiction and fantasy. The series of books that got me into fantasy at a very early age featured a protagonist that was a pig keeper and a famous Welsh warrior named Prince Gwydion. The correct answer was Lloyd Alexander. He was an English author that penned the Chronicles of Prydain. And Paul J., Mike O., and Malkier67 were all sent a free copy of my ebook, Chasing Your Philippine Dream, An Expat's Guide to the Philippines. Actually, a Filipina named Nancy actually beat Malkier67 to the answer. But she wrote, "Hi Ned, my answer, Lloyd Alexander." And she noted, also one of my favorite series. She went on to say, "I doubt I'll win, but if I do, no need to send me the book. I'm a local. Please send it to an expat instead. I'll be happy with just the bragging rights." Well, Nancy, there's your bragging rights right there, and it was very nice of you to pass on the book to somebody who obviously needed it more than you did. I actually sent her a copy. I hope she actually doesn't read it. Ugh. All right, so this week's trivia question. Continuing on last week's topic of science fiction and fantasy, this British author is known for his grimdark take on conventional fantasy. He, too, is one of my favorite authors of all time. And his series featured a yellow-eyed half-demon, a self-loathing torturer, and a rather likable nine-fingered berserker who also unfortunately happened to be an unwitting child killer. First correct answer email to myphilippinedreams@gmail.com gets you a free copy of our book, Chasing Your Philippine Dream. Let me check the stream again. Looks like we're having issues. Yeah, why isn't this working? All right, I'm going to stop this. Shoot. Huh. All right, we're going to close this down. This is a shame. Okay, let's try this again. This time I actually hit the public button, so hopefully we'll start streaming. Let's see what's going on. All right, we are live. Good morning, y'all. And sorry for the late start. I actually started the live cast earlier, but I had it set to private. So I was like not getting any comments or anything. I was wondering what was going on, and there was only one person watching it. And then I realized I was that one person watching it. This is Ned over My Philippine Dreams. Welcome and good morning, everybody. Welcome to August 9th, 2017. The first day of the rest of our lives. Get out there, do something creative, make the most of it. It's a beautiful day here in Dumaguete City, the city of gentle people, the city that never sleeps, where the men are men and the goats are nervous. So yeah, sorry for the late start. This week's livecast is brought to you this week by Magnolia Industries, proud provider of delectable cheese squeeze, a heady miasma of water, cheese products, and vegetable oil. Magnolia Cheese Squeeze is a safe and easy way to enjoy cheese spread. Boasting a resealable applicator tip and sheathed in an aluminum doy pack, Cheese Squeeze will not break and is safe for kids to handle. Cheese Squeeze. Bring it anytime, anywhere. It's really good on Skyflakes, another one of our corporate sponsors. Thank you to Magnolia Industries for Cheese Squeeze. The weather's actually been nice. We had 3 weeks of rain, which was kind of a downer. It kind of dampened the spirits and dampened everything else. They call it rainy season here. I call it mildew season. And actually, I used a lot of Zonrox, which is like their version of Clorox bleach. And I think Zonrox is going to be next week's corporate sponsor. I reached out to them. I'm hoping to hear something back. So the weather's been nice. It's been sunny. It's been hot, like downtown. They had a community neighborhood party down at One Love Cafe. Orville ran that. It was a big feeding that went on this past Sunday, and I went down there at 3 o'clock, and it's kind of right in the city. It's off the National Highway. It's a lot of concrete and steel, and it was hot as blazes. I got some video, but I didn't get all the video. It's kind of a bummer. All right, everybody checking in. Thank you for checking in. We got 9 people watching. This should be on public. All right, we're moving on. Hopefully people aren't watching the other one. They probably are. People are watching the other live stream. That only went on for like 5 minutes. All right, trivia question. We like giving free things away here on My Philippine Dreams, and we have a weekly trivia question as part of our livecast. Last week's, I just sounded southern, livecast. Last week's trivia question. I love reading and particularly enjoy science fiction and fantasy. The series of books that got me into fantasy at a very early age featured a protagonist that was a pig keeper and a famous Welsh warrior named Prince Gwydion. The correct answer was Lloyd Alexander, who is a British author, and he really hooked me into reading at an early age. I used to eat big bowls of Cheerios and just read the books over and over and over again. So the correct answer was Lloyd Alexander, and his Chronicles of Prydain series and Paul J., Mike O., and Malkier 67 were all sent a free copy of my ebook, Chasing Your Philippine Dream, An Expat's Guide to the Philippines. Actually, a Filipina named Nancy actually beat Malkier 67 to the answer, but she wrote, "Hi Ned, my answer, Lloyd Alexander. Also one of her favorite series. I doubt I'll win, but if I do, no need to send me the book. I'm a local. Please send it to an expat instead. I'll be happy with just the bragging rights." Well, Nancy, there's your bragging rights. And it was very nice of you to pass on to the book to somebody who obviously needed it more than you. Actually, I sent her a copy. I just hope she doesn't read it. So this week's trivia question, continuing on last week's topic of science fiction and fantasy, this British author is known for his grimdark, notice the witch's claw, grimdark series, take on conventional fantasy. He, too, is one of my favorite authors of all time, and his series featured a yellow-eyed half-demon, a self-loathing torturer, and a rather likable nine-fingered berserker who also, unfortunately, happened to be an unwitting child killer. First correct answer, email to myphilippinedreams@gmail.com, gets you a free copy of my book, Chasing Your Philippine Dream. Clarification and corrections from last week. From last week's live cast, someone pointed out correctly that I didn't make it perfectly clear during the broadcast that foreigners can still indeed have Balikbayan boxes mailed to them, regardless of the new Bureau of Custom regulations that started on August 1st. The problem, however, is that anything of value over 10,000 pesos, a total combined value of over 10,000 pesos, which is about 200 US dollars, will be subjected to the Philippines' vicarious, if not downright Byzantine, tax and tariff scheme. So you could end up paying anything over that $200 worth. You could pay a lot on tariff, taxes, and all that. Speaking of the Bureau of Customs, a customs employee who was fired from his job for green laning a 6 billion peso shipment of shabu from China has recently disappeared. I saw it on TV, and they're having like these Senate investigations and these inquiry to where this guy is, and he can't be found. No big surprise there. All right, let's go to the comments real quick. Make sure this thing is still working. Dun, dun. Oh, Glenn Campbell passed away today. Oof. Utah, are there any Mormons in the Philippines? Is that the Church of Latter-day Saints? Yeah. There are quite a few. Good morning from Maine. Hey, Matt. All right, Patreon update. I have long neglected my Patreon site. I set it up a few years back and I had the best of intentions to provide backers with additional content, but I never got around to it. I'm going to try to rectify that now by offering a monthly Google Hangout where Patreon supporters who pledge at least $5 can be involved in an open discussion on life in the Philippines. Give me a 4-month commitment, which is $20, and you will also get a copy of the book. Now, I can't enforce that commitment. You know, you can disenroll from Patreon whenever you want. So you could actually, you know, do it for 1 month for $5, get your Google Hangout, and get a free copy of the book, if you're that type of person. This is basically directed towards folks who have not yet taken the expat plunge and have a lot of questions about it, but expatriates already living the dream and probably possessed of more experience than me are also more than welcome. The Hangout will not be publicly published. So we'll probably be able to talk about things that I would be reticent to discuss on YouTube or my websites. Right now I'm planning on doing the first Hangout this Sunday. If you have a Gmail, you have to have a Gmail account in order to engage in the Hangout. This will be the first one, so I'm hoping to find a few people that will volunteer to do a test Hangout. I'll try to do it, because I know there's a lot of people in the U.S., so I'll try to do it like 8 in the morning, 8 p.m. in your time. If you're interested, just shoot me an email over at myphilippinedreams@gmail.com. All right, enough with that horrible e-begging. And also, thank you for everybody who has helped support my work. Past, present, and future, it is much appreciated, and it is a lot of work. With all the content that I put out and everything, it is a lot of work. Going to, hey, there's Golden Rich. He's probably going to say weird stuff. He is a strange guy. Does anybody else? Golden Rich. I'm sad, homeless in Sydney, Australia. 10 people. He never fails to entertain. And be nice in the comments section. I don't want to see any crazy stuff. All right, first subscriber question, and then we're going to get into a couple of news events that just recently happened. Comes from longtime viewer and very dear friend of the channel, Aaron Wilson. Aaron Wilson asks, Ned, I saw you eating raw vegetables that were washed with that dirty Dumaguete City tap water. Aren't you worried about contracting some horrific intestinal parasites? Well, thanks for the question, Aaron. I appreciate it, and you're a real peach. First off, I have never personally gotten sick from the food or water in the Philippines, and I've been here for almost 4 years now. This is probably more luck than anything else, as I'll talk about in a little bit. I also take care to rinse the veggies that I get at least 3 times. The hard ones, I get a little scrubber that I scrub them with, and then I rinse them. And then I set them out to dry, and I let them dry well. I do the same thing when I'm washing my dishes. I wash my dishes with tap water. I take showers with tap water, brush my teeth with tap water. You could conceivably mix in some vinegar to the water when you're rinsing it, but it's going to leave a taste of vinegar on the vegetables. And the U.S. Food and Drug Administration actually recommends not washing vegetables with anything included in the rinse water. There was also a meta-analysis conducted on 7 studies. They were investigating Montezuma's revenge, which is also known as traveler diarrhea. And the conclusion of the meta-analysis that whether you took precautions or not, 30 to 50% of people traveling outside their home nation we're going to get some form of food or waterborne sickness, usually E. coli, the diarrhea, Montezuma's revenge. I don't sweat it too much. I think I've built up a modicum of resistance against the local bugs. I wouldn't recommend people newly arrived here doing that. When I first got here, actually, I used to brush my teeth with purified water because I was so scared of the water. Of far greater concern to me are mosquitoes because of Zika, malaria, dengue, and a few other exotic pathogens that they have here. Hepatitis A and B are a big problem. We've actually had a couple subscribers come here and catch hepatitis. So make sure you get your Twinrix vaccines before you come here. Actually, if you haven't got your Twinrix vaccinations against hepatitis A and B, get them. And finally, of far more concern is motorbike accidents. So I'm not too worried about rinsing the vegetables in tap water. I also see workers out there drinking out of the hoses when they're working on the road crews and everything. So, but I appreciate the question and your concern. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Aaron Wilson. Much appreciated. Real Android. Oh, Will Dasovich has some parasite. I heard. See his vlogs. Dude, he makes so much money on his AdSense. Woo! Crazy. All right, let's get into our first news story. Foreigner who allegedly bragged he couldn't get arrested because he's American gets arrested. An American national by the name of Gary Maraviglia, that's Italian, was arrested last week after threatening a city councilor at the Davao City Mall. The American, who was president of an electrical transmission corporation in the United States, also reportedly bragged that he couldn't be arrested because of his nationality. He says, you can't arrest me, you can't detain me because I'm an American. This is all alleged. Mr. Maraviglia apparently got upset after believing that the Davao City Councilor Al Ryan Alejandre took a photo of his credit card. The American allegedly challenged Councilor Alejandre to a fistfight, and some reports mention a shotgun. Ironically enough, it appears as if the city councilor involved in the case is almost also the chairman of Davao's International Relations and Tourism Committee. I love irony. No further information is available at this point, but I am sure there is more to the story. Not all the facts are in, but do yourself a favor and never tell a connected, that is like a politician, Filipino, that you can't be arrested because you're American or any other foreign nationality. They don't like that much here. They don't like that. They're not big fans of that. All right, let's go to comments real quick. Make sure everybody's being appropriate and nice. Yeah, you got to watch out for those parasites. Oof. All right, and since we're on the subject, Kevin Suzuki asks, Ned, I have heard that Filipinos tend to be rather sensitive and thin-skinned. It seems like foreigners take a lot of heat if they make comments on the pollution, poverty, lack of infrastructure, President Duterte, and the like. What are your thoughts on this? Thank you, Kevin, for your question. Yep, and generally speaking, and yes, I'm stereotyping, Filipinos do tend to be somewhat sensitive about certain things. Hereabouts, they refer to it as balat sibuyas. Balat is skin, sibuyas is onion. So basically, it's literally onion skinned. I think a sense of national amor proprio, that self-love, love of self, also plays a role at a macro level, which seems to be informally codified under the term Pinoy pride. But at least it's not as bad as Thailand, where you can be imprisoned for 20 to 40 years for saying something bad about the king on Facebook. So yeah, and a lot of Filipinos, and again, I don't want to offend anybody, and if you're Filipino, please don't be offended. You know that this happens. Everybody in the world has their own insecurities to a greater or lesser degree. Here, they've actually got a term for it. They recognize it, and if you type in balat sibuyas, you'll see a lot of Filipinos talking about it. King of the North. Yeah, Thailand's got a king. King of the North. Speaking of which, I've actually been rather disappointed in the first 3 episodes of Game of Thrones, Season 7. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a lack of gratuitous nudity. I don't know. Next news article as we move along. Mayor beaten up in Iloilo City. Iloilo City is on the island of Panay, right across from Bacolod, just to the northwest of us. Things got a little out of hand this past June 1st. This happened a while ago, when a municipal mayor in Iloilo City was beaten up and hospitalized after firing a sidearm during a sidewalk scuffle. Mayor Jose De Paula was attending a party at a local resort celebrating a victory of his town's basketball team. Also in attendance at the resort was an LGBT, that stands for lesbian, bisexual, gay, and transgender group. They were having a celebration or meeting of some sort. The mayor apparently had a little too much to drink and reportedly tried to engage with the LGBT group. The host of the LGBT group did not recognize the mayor and reported him for being a gatecrasher. That's someone, who's not supposed to be at the party. Angered at not being recognized, Mayor De Paula reportedly pulled out a pistol and fired shots into the air, one of which somehow allegedly grazed a 20-year-old Filipino in the abdomen. After firing the shots, the mayor scrambled to get his vehicle. A village official stopped the mayor and asked him to give over his gun. The apparently inebriated mayor refused to give up his weapon, and a fight broke out with a group of men setting upon the mayor and beating him to the point of requiring hospitalization. What, you don't know who I am? Perhaps that's another case of Balat Sibuyas. The mayor, who actually seems like a very nice guy, because he did a couple follow-up articles after the incident happened, was very embarrassed and, made a public apology about it. And I'll put the links to that article and stuff down and thing. It's a pretty funny story. Luckily, nobody was seriously hurt. These things happen. Mixing, alcohol and social activities to extreme can sometimes result in bad things. All right. Hey, I had an accident, but no, Golden Rich, we cannot play a game. This is not Saw, you weirdo. All right, next subscriber question. Peter Van Dever asks, Ned, I have been seeing your photographs and they look really amazing. What kind of camera are you using and how did you become such an expert photographer in only a few months? And my answer, thank you, Peter. I really appreciate that. It's good to see true genius recognized. I'm using a Nikon D51 and a Tamron 18200 lens that I picked up on eBay when I went back to the United States. And as for me suddenly becoming which is called expert photographer in only a few months, the answer is simple. Adobe Lightroom. Ooh, feels like the house is shaking. I wonder if this is an earthquake. Okay. So moving on. The final subscriber question comes from Kevin Suzuki. Question, jealousy seems to be an issue in the Philippines. What are some of the craziest stories you've heard or experienced? Nothing too graphic, please. There was an incident that I was aware of that happened, I believe, on Cebu. The guy's name was Rob, and he was going out with a woman who was sort of high-strung, and her brother was a policeman. And the lesson that was learned after he got locked up, and it was only for like a day, I think he got PC'd for the night or something for being drunk, was just be careful dating somebody whose brother is a cop. And finally, the battle against ISIS in Mindanao continues. It's still going on down there. The U.S. is thinking about assisting with airstrikes, yippee, another foreign war. The mayor of Ozamis in Misamis, along with 14 of his security staff were killed during a 2 a.m. drug raid on his compound. The ASEAN summit has concluded, and we just recently found out that North Korea can nuke 2/3 of the continental United States. For the neglected 1/3, don't worry about that because I'm sure the nuclear fallout will take care of you. Time to get another pills and delivery. So that's basically this week's livecast. If you're interested in doing the test Google Hangout with me, please send me an email at myphilippinedreams@gmail.com. I haven't been able to respond to some emails that I got from some folks that emailed me. Some of them were very nice, and I got to get to those. I've been kind of negligent in that. So yeah. So that's basically it, everybody. Yeah, Cagayan Valley, Isabella, and beyond. What's up, Ned? Little late getting here this morning. Yeah, what happened was I started the live stream, but on my privacy settings on YouTube, I had it set to private because I did a test on it yesterday to make sure it was working. So I was running over there for about 6 or 7 minutes before I realized that it was private and that nobody was actually looking at it. So once again, everybody, thank you for participating in the discussion. Hey, Johnny Warrior's there. What's up, Johnny? Yeah, I was just listening to a live cast that you guys did. I think it was a Google Hangout you did with Dave. You guys do some long hangouts. So that's basically it. I got things I got to do this morning. I got to run around. I got to go down to City Hall and take care of some business. My best to everybody. Thank you for watching the live stream. Thank you for your continued support and watching this channel. If you have any questions, email me. Check out our book and help support future endeavors on Patreon. I'm actually giving serious thought to getting a drone, to getting a Mavic Pro. I'm actually giving that serious thought. I'm waiting on something, a decision to be made on something in the next month, and then I might do it or not. So take care, everybody, and again, thank you very much. Peace out. Witch's Claw.